35-minute interlude.
35-minute interlude of nothing.
Right. Hey, what's up, everybody? It's Andrew with FACT HVAC doing another episode of In Good Company. And today we actually have two of the owners, myself and Dan. If you do a deep dive in our YouTube and Instagram, you'll see videos that we made 3 years ago in our original office space, which was a bunch of chain link fences and loud noises. So this is our new studio, and we're actually here to talk a little bit about the state of FACT HVAC, some of the big changes that have happened, both with us and within the industry as a company and all that stuff. So I'm Andrew again, and this is Dan. Dan's our CEO and boss. So I'll let you take it away, Dan, with kind of where we're at right now.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, we started the company really technically last month of 2018, but 19 was our first year. Then we had 20 and 21, which are notoriously unique years in history.
Right.
But also, dynamically in this industry that really have been very static, stable. There's a lot of disruptions during those couple years, in particular with supply chain, right? But then also innovations that were coming out and just kind of a new lay of the land, right? You come at it from the tech side, so you can speak a lot more to the technology in the space and kind of what's new out there from a standpoint. We started to be, my whole goal with it was to be innovative and find not only new ways to service the customers, more efficient ways and better ways to service the customer, but also looking for new technology that was going to improve the industry and improve efficiencies moving forward, right? There's been a lot of that, but there's also been changes to the entire landscape of HVAC as a whole, right? Mm-hmm. Especially here locally in Phoenix, but across the country as well. So I think it's kind of interesting to take a look and say, okay, we started off with this agenda. Where are we at? Where is the industry at? I think one of the most interesting things that we've seen, from a technology standpoint, is some of the newer systems coming out, communicating systems, the way they're setting them up. And I know you've got more experience in the field on that. So, I mean, what excites you? What are you excited to put out there to the customers right now?
Yeah, I mean, one of the biggest things that gets me excited as a technician, as my background, is how equipment is innovating to catch up, right? One of our biggest things that we're proud of is our relationship with Bosch. Mm-hmm. Bosch being our premium product, for homes, right? It's something we're really excited about. And what Bosch did that is unique to anybody else is they looked at the technology of heating and air conditioning as a whole, from the manufacturing side all the way down to its usage, and found the most efficient ways to do things. So, for example, they only make two sizes. They make a 3-ton and a 5-ton system. But those units are essentially variable volume units. So they can operate at 120% of their capacity, which means you only need 2 condensers, a 3-ton or a 5-ton. And they put all the technology for monitoring how the system works, how it cools and knows when to go into a higher stage of cooling or to lower it down, all in the outdoor unit. And so that's such a huge thing because it reduces the amount of components that could fail. So for homeowners, it really gives them peace of mind when they get a high efficiency system, that they don't have all of these things that they have to worry about later. And so really excited about Bosch as being one of our premium lines. One, it's such a good recognizable name.
Right. Right. They have a huge reputation.
Right. And so when our technicians are talking to homeowners, they love the fact that every appliance in their home can be one brand, right?
They could get one brand, right? Even your AC, which is really rare. That's kind of a unique thing.
And so it's really nice to have that product now. We did a lot of product testing with other brands since the inception of the company. And so we've been able to see kind of each step of the evolution of equipment and stay kind of in step with that. So I like that as far as some of the advances that we're seeing there. And honestly, the buy-in from the consumers is huge. It's a name they recognize, and it's a product that
it's rated really well. Yeah. The name is a great reputation, obviously, to work with. It's great to have that product line and be a partner with them. One of the funny things, you can go into all the tech stuff of putting the components on the outside instead of in the air handler in the attic or whatever, right, on why that's better. And in my favorite thing about them is they're quiet as can be.
100%.
They're rated so much quieter, and so for people like me who my air handler is literally 3 feet from my bed and my pillow. So every time it kicks on and off, I am awake or not.
Right.
So the quieter you can get it, the better off it is. So cheap thrills for those of us who are not technicians and know nothing about it, quieter.
I mean, every customer that we've put it in, that's the first thing that they say, especially the outdoor units.
Right. You can't, they don't hear it.
They're so quiet. And so when you're in your swimming pool or you're having people over for a barbecue, you're not hearing that air conditioning system run like crazy. And so it's a huge benefit. And to kind of, not that we're the biggest Bosch company in the world, but the fact is we're really leading that charge, I feel, in our market as far as really helping people to understand and educating them, giving the facts about why this Bosch equipment is so good, is exciting for us, right? We have a really good relationship both with Bosch and the distribution side of that. Mm-hmm. So it's been something that, as an owner of the company, I'm very proud of.
Sure.
To see that, and the customers really appreciate that. I mean, that's one thing. Now, on your side of things, obviously there's been so many iterations of marketing concepts, and that's such a huge part of your background.
Right.
Obviously, we're in our new studio. What are some of the things that you like about that side of the company that's kind of your biggest?
I think the studio is going to be priceless because, again, when we started this company, our whole thing was about educating customers, making sure they weren't taken advantage of, right?
Right.
That's one of the things on our vans. One is the innovative way to repair, maintain, or replace, which that goes into finding better equipment and finding new solutions for clients. But then on the other side, we do have, getting ripped off a big AC isn't cool on the back, right? So what it really boils down to is education, right? The reason people get taken advantage of by AC companies really is that they don't know. They don't know how their system works. They don't know how to validate being told what's wrong, and then what that should cost or should not cost, and which options would be the best one to go with, right? So, when we discuss it with our techs and we're training people in our office and everything, you've heard it, it's close the knowledge gap. We need to take the knowledge gap from our technicians and, you and Terry and everybody else in the company, and bring the customer up to that level to give them certain data, give them facts that they can validate, and then give them confidence in what's going on. I think the studio here, our new production schedule, making sure we're putting out great content, great blogs, great videos, educating the consumer even before we're ever at the house, even before our technician steps foot out there. And again, in markets we're not even serving, right? I think that's one of the things that I'm really committed to, is making sure that the facts about AC get out there for everyone, so that the consumer gets smarter, so that bad companies cannot survive in the space any longer. That's one of the trends that I think is also really interesting to watch right now. Is you've got, especially in our market, the bigger companies are buying up the smaller companies. There's consolidation, right? From a business term, you have market consolidation. The challenge is a lot of them are not rebranding those companies they're buying. They're leaving them under that small parent company, but now they're running them the same. So your options as a consumer are getting less and less in this market, realistically. You may not realize it, but it's getting less and less.
The illusion of choice.
The illusion of choice, right? And, that's something that I think is important for people to start realizing is, man, these guys are starting to sound a lot alike. And you're starting to realize it's even more homogenous than it was when we came into the space. I think that's crazy for the consumer, right? Because in the most cases, it's not a good thing. So I'd like to see us get the information out there so that no matter who comes to their door, if it's not us, they can fact check those groups and make sure they're not being taken advantage of, and they're getting good information. I think that's really big. Other things in the industry, everybody's competing for the same talent. I think that's something you can speak to on the recruiting side. I'm interested to see innovatively what new tools are going to come out to help younger, newer techs get into the space with more ease and then execute at a high level. So I know that's one thing we're looking at, several technology platforms to try and improve that capability.
Right. And listen, everybody knows workforce is one of the hardest things, whether it's fixing an air conditioner or, ordering food at a restaurant, right? Everybody understands there's so many issues with workforce. And that's with 2021 and 2020 being our first 2 years, really, right? we struggled with that. And so I liked the fact that everybody here had the mindset of how do we create our own opportunities and leveraging technology. And one of the things that not only with the studio having that, but we have a training facility now. We're leveraging real technology to train technicians. Even eventually, we will have our Oculus VR opportunities to get guys to where they're able to immerse themselves in the education side. And we really, really rounded out that training program to where we've been able to take technicians that have very little experience, maybe predominantly in the maintenance side, directly out of trade school, and turn them into really seasoned technicians. And it's one of the things that I'm really proud of, especially for the month of June, because this will probably air sometime in July, probably from Steve. I'm getting the shut up, don't say when this will air. But in June,
don't date it. It's evergreen content.
Right,
learn the rules.
Gary Vee will hate me for that. But the reality of it is, for the month of June, we saw the highest number of 5-star reviews that we've ever seen in 1 month. And a lot of that comes from the simple fact that we've been able to train the technicians in a more comprehensive and immersive way, continue their education with them, help them in those things. And they've been able to deliver it at a fast pace. And so I'm excited about that because as we grow as a company, that'll give us the opportunity to take people in and intake them into the FACT ecosphere and get them to become viable technicians quickly.
Right.
Which will help them save money on education, which will help them start earning faster and all of those things. So as a technician, as somebody who was brought up in the trade, it's so cool to be able to teach that to other people and see that kind of light click and see their progression at a rapid pace.
Right.
And so, and I think we got a lot of things right as we were growing through the pandemic. The work remote side. One of the things that I like a lot is one of the things that you developed, which was the brand training. And I think that helps so many of our customer or our employees understand kind of what we are as a brand. And I'd love for you to kind of talk a little bit about that brand thought. You kind of touch on it a little bit more, but the concept of the brand of FACT.
Right. I mean, the brand has developed. I don't think it's ever really changed from what we started, right? Which was we wanted to give people fact-based solutions. But I guess I knew it was different when we started. I didn't realize how different it was to the entire industry, and that we would even have to retrain techs' mindsets in the field of how that works because they were so trained on selling that it was hard to break that habit in some cases. And I think with the brand training, we get the techs in, we get dispatchers in, everybody in, and we get to cover with them customer first mindsets. And then the fact that we're here to provide data backed, fact based solutions and array of solutions, right? You do hit points on repairs where the cost doesn't make sense anymore. And it is probably better to go to a new unit. Not every time though. It's not for every $100 breakdown that you have. Which a lot of companies make it that way, right? In our case, we can provide facts like here, this is what the rating should be on this capacitor or this component. This is what it is. Here's my tools. Where you can literally see, the measurements provided to the customers, explained out in detail, and then we can say, okay, here are the options. Replace the component, replace this set of components. Here's a whole new system option. Where what fits best for your solution moving forward. And again, educating the customer along the way, right? And I think that that's one of the biggest things we have an opportunity in the company. Like one of the highest highlights, for instance, of the last 3 years for me was a guy from out of state calling us about one of our blog pieces that we had put up on the website. And he was just trying to find clear answers.
Right.
Because he was getting told a bunch of different things by different people trying to sell him stuff. And he read this article, was like, it made sense. I do have like 2 more questions, and he called you and you were able to walk him through exactly, what the differences were and give him the facts. He's like, man, nobody will just tell me the truth and what it is.
Right.
That was not even in our market. We couldn't even sell to him. But we were the fact check. Yeah. And that is ultimately where we need to get to. And to see us hitting those traction points now, getting out in the marketplace, in a marketplace that is saturated with false information by a lot of groups. incredibly misleading information at best. And then just with lower quality, sometimes there's lower quality people out there doing this job. And to have a great quality team that's, transparent, that believes in educating the consumer, serving the consumer, not, taking advantage of them. I think that's been the biggest highlight of, I guess, building the company the last few years.
Right. It's one of the great things I liked about as that brand that we have and the way we teach the brand. It's an ever changing, ever evolving document, and it's there to morph as we need it. And I thought one of the greatest parts that when we do the brand training that you put in there was that we provide education as a service.
Correct.
Right. So many, an air conditioner is an air conditioner, whether you buy it from us or somebody else, right? It's the same system. It's the same motor, that we all buy from, right?
Sure.
But really the service that they're getting from FACT is that education. And that education has a real value to it. Like, it saves people thousands of dollars when they're empowered, with the right thing.
Well, and it saves them peace of mind as well. That's the other thing that I think is really important is, even if somebody makes the right decision on a repair, right? Do they know they did? We've all had buyer's remorse, right? And we've all wondered if we got swindled, but hey, it was 110 degrees and 90 in my house, and I was just going to do whatever it took.
Right.
And there may be someone standing there who's willing to take advantage of that, right? Did I get taken advantage of? Did I overpay? Was that repair really necessary? All those questions have gone through our head. That's part of why I wanted to start an AC company, was I got tired of that issue. Right. And then finding out I did get ripped off, finding out I was getting screwed. And I didn't want that anymore. And I definitely didn't want the world to have that anymore. So, when we look at it from that standpoint of, if you educate, the difference in that situation was I didn't know. And it was that question of, did I get bamboozled?
Right.
Man, and so even if you got it right, you don't feel good about getting it right. Whereas I think when you educate people, when you listen to their questions, when you close the knowledge gap, as we like to say in the training, that's when I think that we excel and we give them something that's even better than the product, better than everything else. It's peace of mind. Right. And it's also self-confidence. They know that they had the details necessary, and they can have confidence going to bed that night that they made the right decision for them and that they got it right.
Yeah.
And I think, peace of mind is priceless, right? There may be a price on those systems, and there may be a price on the repair and all that, but going to bed knowing that you made the right decisions, that you didn't get bamboozled, that you got taken care of, that's, there's a peace of mind quotient there that's priceless. Right.
Yeah. And I think that, again, it goes just hand in hand with the evolution of the brand, the evolution of the growth of the company, is really driven to that. And that's the investment we make into the technicians, so that even in their training, they have access to, a huge library of interactive training that they can do to better their skill sets, to get more, certifications, which helps them when they're at the home with the customer to educate them.
Yep.
And I love the fact that most of our training has little to none that's not even English, has little to do with sales, right? We're not investing in these guys to go take sales courses and seminars.
Right, yeah.
It's investing in their technical ability.
Yep.
Because they're there as professional technicians to educate, to repair, to maintain, and if needed, to replace. And that's one of the biggest things that, that brings me a lot of joy within the company, is seeing that evolution of the technicians, and the evolution of the company and everything, is seeing it grow that way. And so those are some of the cool things that I like, that I'm seeing.
So let me ask this. What are the things in the industry that you see, like what's your forecast for, I'll say, the rest of this year and kind of leading into next year? It's really hard to forecast past 12 to 18 months right now. Like I would be, I'm pretty sure every forecast we've come up with since we started the company was wrong, at least in some degree.
Right.
Right. So, the only thing true about predictions is they won't come true. But with that said, what are you seeing in the industry from the suppliers? Mm-hmm. Particularly the rest of this summer is a good question. Last year, this point in the summer, we were telling everyone expect major delays in product
Yeah.
and expect price increases, right? And all that came true. I mean, just to put it in perspective, when we started in late 18, we were doing price guides, everything else. Since that point to now, I don't have the exact numbers, but it was between a 30% and I believe average was around 38% increase in all products across the board in just 3 years.
Right.
That's way above industry standard historically, right?
Let's be
so
honest.
we've had massive increase. Some groups are up 70%
Right.
since that time.
Like 33% of that 38 was like in the last 30 days.
Seriously, like, right? Yeah, it's so massive to see.
Right.
It's been mind-boggling that things have changed that quickly, and then the labor market as well has gone up significantly. So all the costs have gone up. What's your viewpoint on kind of the supply side, since you have a lot of those conversations?
Yeah, it's interesting because again we can go facts over fear, right? The reality of it is when we do talk to customers, we do have to tell them that listen, if you postpone this purchase another 30 days, it means a real number, right?
Right, like literally July 1st we have increases from
July
several
1st.
suppliers.
We've got price increases coming, and we're open and transparent about what that is, and we help people understand what that really looks like and all of that. But one of the biggest trends that I think we're going to see is that continue for a while, because there's some really key indicators that are inside of the marketplace where there's changes. Here in Arizona, we have very specific needs where it's a dry climate, right? We don't have, in Florida, if you look, there's almost no R22 or old style units in Florida any longer.
Right, because they replace a lot more frequently than we do because they burn out with corrosion from humidity and salt.
And so there's no more R22 units on the eastern
It's pretty
seaboard,
much blown
right?
out, yeah.
However, in Arizona, we have units that are 35, 40 years old.
We were just out
still
on
in
one like a week
operation.
ago. That
Exactly.
Pictures were 37 years old or something like that. Yeah.
And so there's changes coming even to the refrigerant that we have today in the next 2 to 3 years.
Right.
And so the more we can educate consumers to be prepared, so when they're getting those hard sales, they don't have to be taken advantage of. And so as we put out more content that deals with that, I think it's going to help empower people to make the wise choice. Right. The industry as a whole is going to change in the repair side of things because of the inability to get a lot of the components that are starting to get thin in supply. Okay. If you have a unit that's over 30 years old and you have a major component that deals with the refrigerant, like the coils in the attic or the coil outside, the likelihood of us being able to get that is slim.
It's slim to none at this point.
And equipment is getting bigger because it has to be more efficient now to meet new energy standards.
Right.
Next year, our minimum energy standard for Arizona is going to go up to 15 SEER.
Right. A lot of states actually already did go to that, which is kind of ironic that we have one of the hottest states and we didn't mandate that yet. But
and so, as those changes happen across, like for example, in California, it's 13 SEER. Well, they're going to go up to 14 SEER.
Right.
And so as those things happen, we have to make sure people are educated to know it's not illegal if you don't have a 15 SEER system. It's not illegal if you have R22 refrigerant.
Right. And we're already hearing, just for the record, like we're already hearing that from other
100%.
companies who are out there telling people, you have an illegal system. This is, I can't even work on this. I can't do. Right. That's not actually true.
Yep.
There's virtually no such thing.
And so, so one of the biggest trends that we're going to see is the need for, finding the right energy efficient systems, making sure the technicians are adequately trained on these new systems. And that's what I'm excited about. We're already putting ourselves in that position that we'll be ready for that when it happens. Yep. And so, so that's exciting because it will help people get and save money on their energy bills and things like that. But we're going to see a lot of changes with regards to energy efficiency and the ability to repair older equipment if it's a major repair.
Yep.
And so helping people understand that now helps them plan, even if it's not today. They can plan for it at the end of the year or the next year. They can start that planning process so it doesn't take them by surprise when something does happen.
And that's something I would encourage like a lot of people to do. We have this conversation a lot of times where, the first time I bought a unit, circa 2003, 4, somewhere in there, it was about $5,000, $6,000, and in my head, that's what they still cost. Now,
Right.
in reality, that is not what they cost. It costs a lot more. And a lot of people still have this mentality. If they've bought one in the past, it's probably been 10 years. And like we said, the cost in just 3 years has gone up dramatically.
Right.
So, I think it's good for people who are anticipating some repairs or that unit's getting older to go online, go to our site, price out a new unit, see what it will cost you, plan on that, start aiming at a target. If you are looking at financing, we have financing options, but maybe get quotes on that and see where you're going to end up. Just be prepared.
Yeah.
I think that consumers now have the ability to get prepared ahead of time for stuff that they didn't even 3 to 4 years ago, and partially by things we're offering.
And the weird part is we all live in this weird world of time where if I say 20 years ago, I guarantee you and Steve both think of the 90s.
About
Yeah.
If I say
20 years,
ago,
you're like 80s,
like I was like
90s.
90s. I'm thinking.
But it's
90s.
literally 2002.
Right.
Right.
Yeah. It's like, oh crap.
And so people are like, "Oh, my system's not that old." No, it's old.
Right. Yeah. Somebody told me the other day, like, no, I replaced it not that long ago, and
Right.
literally it was 2003 or 4.
Yeah.
Right. And you're like, okay, that was 20 years ago. You're gonna.
It's time.
It's gonna go.
Yeah.
Like I don't, especially depending on orientation in the house, right? If it's a south-facing unit that's been blasted by the sun in
Right.
Arizona, been subject to dust storms and everything else, it's gonna go at some point.
Yeah.
So, other things people looking forward. I mean, industry-wise, I see that we're going to continue with certain cost increases, supply chain issues. Whether it's our industry or any industry. So many of them at this point in time are projecting 18-month or longer delays with, just if you look at the shipping crisis, everything else, logistics. So I think that's going to maintain. I think from an industry standpoint, business standpoint, you're going to continue to see consolidation in the space with bigger groups buying up the little guys, the medium tier guys buying up the little guys, the medium guys getting bought by the big guys, and, flattening out of mindset. And I think that at that point, you're going to have the haves and have-nots, the ones who are doing the right thing, who are giving people facts, who are being data-driven, and the people who are not. I think that divide is going to get bigger in the next couple of years. I think we have to be prepared to take advantage of it and be as loud as we can in the marketplace, which again is why we have the studio, why we're doing what we're doing today, and why we're going to interview other companies, other people on this platform to not just in our industry but everywhere. Educate people and close knowledge gaps in other industries as well.
Right.
I think that from a consumer standpoint, you're going to have more opportunities to find really cool technology and to make good decisions based on facts.
Right.
And that's kind of what I hope we deliver on, but also just I think in general that's going to be kind of the outlook of the next 18 months. You can see that pivot coming, especially if we do have any form of slowdown in the economy, like true slowdown in recession, magic word, right?
Right.
If that happens, all of a sudden research, confidence in your decision making is going to be even more of a premium.
Yeah.
And again, that's something you can get from us, and hopefully we're promoting that across industries and other things too.
Right. And I'm excited for what we have out there. I think it's going to be it's a great start to the summer. I'm looking forward to getting through this summer with some of the really cool ideas that the marketing team has. And so I'm excited to see where we're going. There's so much changes. There's been so many changes to the company, to everything. And I'm really excited about seeing. I mean, I was looking back at it, and I think the last time that you and I sat down and did one of these was honestly in early 2019.
Yeah, I think so.
I mean, it's just crazy to think that it was that long ago, and how much has changed. Even our offices are expanding.
Right.
It's a lot of fun. I'm excited about it.
6+ trucks on the road now. We've got a full team in the office, which is really remote. But
right.
Again, it's all been a great little adventure.
Yeah. I'm excited to see where it's going to go. This is going to be our platform to talk to people, like you said. Our service is education and closing that knowledge gap. And so while we'll do some stuff to have fun, I am looking forward to helping people get the facts on what we're doing and really help them save money in a time when everybody is needing to do that.
Correct. Right.
And
When
so-
that is absolutely going to become critical as we move forward.